Hello and welcome to MU Movie Review. I'm your host, Alexandria Smith, and this season we'll be comparing originals versus remakes. And this is my co-host, Sean Kelmer. Today we'll be talking about Karate Kid, both the original and the remake. The original was directed by John G. Avildsen, and the remake was directed by Harold Swart. The 1984 Karate Kid follows the story of Daniel LaRusso, played by Ralph Macchio, who moves cross-country from New York, New Jersey to Los Angeles, California with his mother. Constant bullying and beatings from the Cobra Kais make Daniel's feelings of anger and loneliness worse and worse, forcing him to adopt a loner mentality. But he becomes friends with a few people, including his love interest, Allie, and Mr. Miyagi, the maintenance man of his apartment complex. Mr. Miyagi is played by Noriyuki Pat Morita. After one particular beating, Daniel is saved by Mr. Miyagi and becomes his pupil.
Well, this film was a classic coming-of-age, fish-out-of-water story. I mean, you had Daniel move from Jersey, which is where he was born and raised, and all he knew, and then he went to the opposite side of the states, to California, and an area that seemed to be inhabited mostly by rich people, which he was not. He was the kid on the other side of the tracks. And a part of that was the love story is his girlfriend was one of the rich kids. And her parents didn't seem to approve of the fact that she was seeing a poor kid. And the romance itself was kind of corny, but it was pretty believable for a mid-80s teen film. And the character of Miyagi also had a great backstory. I mean, with his wife dying and his only child dying during his wife's labor of the child. And I mean, so he really had no one. And that's where Daniel comes in. That's
actually one of the really more emotional parts of the movie for me. I really feel like I could identify with that part, and trying to understand the way it works in high school and fight off bullies and whatnot. Definitely the father-son relationship between Daniel and Miyagi it felt very real to me when I watched it. But I also thought that the film taught a lot of values, particularly through Daniel. Daniel grows mentally and tries to learn that karate is not something that you should use to exact revenge. It is more a system of balance. And what Miyagi tries to teach through karate is balance in both in fighting and in his relationships, especially with his mom and with Allie and whatnot. And it's great to see that this story is still relatable even after 28 years.
Yeah. The remake follows a similar storyline. In this film, Dre Parker, played by Jaden Smith, has to move to China due to his mother's work. Dre falls for his classmate, Mei Ying, but the cultural differences make friendship difficult. Even worse, Dre is the target of the class bully Cheng. With no friends in the strange land, Dre turns to his maintenance man, Mr. Han, who is played by Jackie Chan, and is secretly a master of Kung Fu. After Han mends Dre's injuries using fire cupping, they go to Cheng's teacher, Master Li, to attempt to make peace. But the brutal Li, who teaches his students to show no mercy to their enemies, challenges Dre to a fight with Cheng. When Han declines, Li threatens him, saying that they will not be allowed to leave his school unless either Dre or Han himself fights. Han accepts, but insists the fight take place at an upcoming tournament, and that Li's students leave Dre alone until the tournament.
I thought the change of setting changed the film quite a bit, actually. The setting of this movie, which was in China, was very beautiful compared to the setting of the original Karate Kid, which was set in LA. And I also thought that the change in the martial art technique was very different and changed the overall tone of the film.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was quite a few big changes in the film, such as the demographic of where it was and what style they used, but it was also an age demographic. It went for a tween audience instead of a high school audience, and it made a lot of things a little more cornier. Like, the love story was far more cornier between two 11-year-olds than it was two 16-year-olds. Right. It was just, it kind of lost something. and I just thought that bothered me a little bit.
So what do you give the original?
I gave the original 3.5 stars because it was a good overall film and it's worth watching.
I give it 4 stars because I found that there's so much to be learned from the film than just karate.
Yeah, well, I gave the remake 2.5 stars because it's watchable, but it's more for the younger tween audience.
I'm gonna go with 3. Just because I really like Jackie Chan. I feel like he does a lot of really good work, so it's nice seeing him continue to do films. So.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for watching MU Movie Review.
And please remember that you can rent any of these movies for free at the Mary Kins Bevivino Library.
See ya.